Can you hear me now? Oh, yay. Okay. How does it sound? Mona back. Oh, yay. Okay. How does it sound? Okay. Right before I went live, Mona decided to yank everything off the desk. Bless her little heart. Don't look at me like that. Come here. Don't look at me like that. So here she is. Here she is. There's my girl. She decided to try to yank everything off the desk. And everything went funky. Yet. Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you. Okay. Mommy's going to do a live. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Barbara. She has been a gift. That is for sure. For sure. She's a huge talker too. I don't know if you can hear her. Thank you. Okay. Off. Thank you. You can sit right here. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Okay, so my last video, we talked about some of the reasons why I personally need a service dog. And that Mona here is dual purpose. So she is psychiatric as well as mobility. But it's not all fun and games having a service dog. I do have some major responsibilities having a service dog. And all of us that have service dogs, we should be taking these responsibilities very seriously. It is much more than just having a pet that can go with us at all times into all aspects and every building that we go into. And I'm going to go over some of those responsibilities today. And you'll have to excuse me. I am still at my shop. So there is quite a bit of traffic that goes by, loud traffic. My shop is right on Main Street. So I have a lot of semis and mine trucks and traffic that drive by the shop. So our dogs must be, it is a requirement. Our dogs must be thoroughly socialized. That is something that I am, oh good. I was really worried about not being able to, or about being able to hear the traffic because it can be quite loud with all the semis because I'm literally right on Main Street. So we must have very well socialized dogs. We can go into some situations that can be tight spaces, very busy spaces. So our dogs must be well socialized. That is something that I'm working on with Mona. Mona, unfortunately, was attacked at the shelter before we adopted her. She, unfortunately, is covered in scars. So that is something that we are working really hard to work her through. And she has come a long way. I've said it before, and you'll probably hear me say it several times. I'm in a very unique situation with her because I live in a very unique town, in a very unique location. Push it open. Sorry, excuse me. She wants to go in the bathroom. Go lay down. I live in a very unique area, in a very rural town, very isolated. So most people in town know me very well, and they understand that I'm able to. So I'm able to work with her. There's only 4,000 residents in town, between 4,000 and 4,500. So it's not like, say, I lived in Vegas and I would be going to Walmart all the time or something like that, to where it would be constant busyness. So I'm able to work her through her issues much slower. So we're working on it. I wouldn't take her into a situation until we're through her issues, and we've made tremendous progress. So it's definitely a situation that we're working on, and she's come so far, and it probably is not going to take much longer, because she has come so far. But that is something that is an absolute must. Yeah, that's not the case here at all. Not at all. We don't even have that in one school. We have two elementary schools, one here in town and one in a smaller community that's just outside of town. One middle school and one high school. And then one school that's an alternative school. And then, yes, it does take a special dog. Not just any dog would do. You definitely have to have a connection with the dog. The dog has to be able to be trained. It's not just going to be any dog at all. Yes, Barbara. Are you showing off? I don't hit the mouse, baby. Okay, there. All right, you can stay and hang out with Mama. I know, I'm nervous. I know. Thank you. We live in town is roughly 4,000, 4,500 residents. In county is just over 10,000. We are so small. The closest Walmart is almost 200 miles. We are in the middle of nowhere, but that's kind of the reason I live here. We picked this for a reason. So, hang on. Somebody just stopped by. Sorry about that, guys. The joys of living in a small town. When they see my car here, they know I'm still here. Hi, Kim. Ah, the joys. Um, so yes, yeah, closest Walmart is literally exact mileage is like 188, 191 miles, something like that. That's how small and isolated and far out in the middle of nowhere I am. So, but that's we picked it for a reason. My kids have uh, a ton of freedom that they would not have in the city. Um, like I was finishing up my last dog, and they walked to the library by themselves, which is one, two, 2.5 blocks down and a half block over. So, yeah. Um, so it's a unique situation for me, um, and what I need to do with Mona for her training. But typically, um, our responsibilities for training and what is expected, for what is expected out of our dogs is that they must be fully socialized before they're allowed in public. Um, though it's not required that our dogs be marked in any way, it is a good idea that you mark them in some way, um, just simply because it does help in some situations for people to leave your dog alone when you're working, or when your dog is working. Not everybody does it. Not everybody understands. Not everybody will listen to the markings. But it is a good idea to try to mark your dog in some way. I know that can look different for everybody, especially those with disabilities that limit use of hands or anything like that. It will look differently for everybody, but it's a good idea to try to mark your dog in some way, even though it's not required. The education that is getting out there is starting to make more people aware to not mess with service dogs when they're marked. So it's a good idea to try to mark your dog if you can. And then also keeping your dog, closer to you to avoid those situations. So there is a misconception that you can just walk into a place if you've got a smaller dog and you can put your dog in the cart and you're good to go. You can't. Your dog, you have two options. That's right. Yeah. And that's where, marking your dog, if you can, if that is an option that is available for you to do. Like I said, it can be difficult for those with disabilities that limit, hand function or anything like that. It can be difficult, but if it's something that you can do, would make it easier, because education is getting out there and people are becoming more aware to leave service dogs alone. So that is getting better. It's not always the case, but it is getting better. So, and it doesn't hurt to ask. Not every person is going to be able to let you pet their service dog. Sometimes if it's a cardiac alert dog or something like that, that's not always going to be, the option to let you pet their dog. But if it's, a mobility dog, sometimes you might be able to pet their dog. So it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst case scenario, they'll say no. We're all adults. Like, we haven't heard that in our entire lives. So it doesn't hurt to ask. And people will be much more responsive if you ask than just, so yeah, it's much better to ask than and that teaches to more people that are around you, not just your family that's with you, but the people around you that are watching. It teaches them too. They're going to be like, why are they asking? Oh, it teaches them to be more observant of the dogs as well. So it doesn't hurt to ask at all. So there are two ways that we as handlers are legally able to handle our dogs: on our bodies or on a lead. We are not allowed to put our dogs in strollers or carts or anything like that. I mentioned this in my last live. We can either have our dog on our body in like a sling or a carrier or something like that, physically on our body, or on a lead. The only time that we can legally take our dog off lead or drop their lead is if having that lead interferes, or holding that lead interferes with them performing their task. Any other time, they need to be on lead or on our body. Putting them in a stroller or in a cart, we are not allowed to do that. They are not able to do their task, whatever their task may be, if they are confined to a stroller or a cart. So legally, whatever business they're in can actually ask them to leave if they are in a cart or a stroller, because they're not able to properly perform their task if they're confined. So that is the only way that we are allowed to have our dogs. Another responsibility that we have is that we are to continuously work on constant up training. And up training is just a simple word that just means that we're constantly retraining and constantly working on reinforcing training. So we're just constantly reinforcing training that's already been instilled. It's not something that we train something, we introduce it, we master a skill or a task, and then we move on and never come back. Even though we're constantly doing it, we constantly have to come back and reinforce something that we've trained and mastered. Regular checkups and vaccines. Now, let me reinforce, I am not a vet. I have been in the grooming industry for 20 years, and I have certain thoughts. I typically, personally, do not vaccinate my dogs yearly. I am also currently enrolled in some courses that are, I'm not going to, toot my own horn, so I'm not going to tell you what those courses are and who they're through. But I've recently learned through one of those courses that, in research for one of my assignments, that the Veterinarian Association has changed their recommendations from yearly vaccines in older canines to try yearly vaccines. because they are finding that the immunity, the body, the canine body is holding onto the immunity properties much longer than they initially thought. Now, that is something that I have believed for many, many years and had practiced that philosophy already. So I did not practice. This is personal. This is a discussion that you personally should have with your vet, period. This is my personal, let me reinforce that. This is something that I personally have already been doing for many years. So I have already been doing this, but you should be, as a service dog handler, because your dog is in public daily and is exposed to much more. You should be having regular checkups and vaccines with your vet. Like I said, the veterinarian associations have changed that recommendation from yearly to tri-yearly, but you should still be having yearly checkups. You should also be having regular parasite checks as well. That's the only reason I brought up the whole vaccine thing, because a lot of people will only go in for vaccines, and changing the vaccine recommendation to tri-yearly, they'll only go in for a checkup. But because your dog is being exposed to much more, you should still have a yearly checkup with regular parasite checks. Even though your vaccine, many vets have changed to that tri-yearly vaccine check or vaccines, you should still have a yearly checkup and regular parasite checks. So that's the only reason I brought that up, because your dog is being exposed much more. So you should still be checking on those. And then I am not saying this because I am also a groomer, but because your dog is in public, we must also be aware that there are people out there that have severe dog allergies. Dogs shed, period. There are people that are so allergic to dogs that it can send them into possible anaphylaxis shock. So we must be very vigilant in keeping our dogs clean. Regular and frequent grooming, whether that is professional or at home, is required. It is our responsibility as handlers to keep our dogs clean as we can. We have to. That is respect and care for our dogs, as well as respect for the community in which we live. And then the last one that I really want to reinforce, because it is something that I just shake my head at some of the videos that I see. You will be confronted. You will be yelled at. You will be talked down to. You will meet people that are not so nice about a service dog. There is absolutely nothing you can do about that. You can only control your reaction to that. Do not respond with aggression. You can't control how other people come at you. You can control how you respond. And some of the videos that I have seen have just left me shaking my head. And that does not help the community. It does not help the next person with the service dog. It does not help the next person that may have social anxiety so bad that they will just break down and drop on the floor. That doesn't help. So don't respond with aggression. Calm, cool, and collected will win the game in the end. So I hope that kind of helps explain some of our responsibilities as handlers. And I'm going to go back through and kind of hit some of these comments. And if you have any other questions or comments, please add them. I'm going to scroll up. Okay, so back to the small town. Oh, 3 Walmarts in at least 7 miles. Yeah, I'm good. I'd spend too much money. Way too much money. She's beautiful and she clearly loves her person. Yes, she does. Yes, she is a mama's girl. Snowy? Yeah, no, I'm good. We haven't had horrible snow yet. But we will get it. Definitely. Yeah, 9,000 is about double what we have. Oh, Cricket's here. Hi, Cricket. What do you say? I can't read out. Usually want to pet and say hi to a dog. Yeah. Might give the dog a big smile, but I give the handler a big smile. Yeah. And like I said, a lot of times if you simply ask, sometimes you'd be surprised. If I'm having a good day with my anxiety and my stress and it's not horrible, I don't mind letting people, if they come at me calm, cool, and collected, and it's a good day, and I'm not super stressed, not super anxious, then I don't mind them petting her for a moment. And I'll tell them, I don't mind, but for a moment, because I don't want her getting too, used to it, but I'm also working on her socialization. So I need that. So you never know what's going on. Some dogs do need that extra little bit of socialization. So it doesn't hurt to ask. In my case, we do need that. We do have to work on that a bit, but I don't want to overdo it at the same time. So it doesn't hurt to ask. I asked before I approach any dog. It's just common sense. Exactly. Yeah, that's perfect. And more often than not, like I said, if it's mobility aid or something, something like that, you're more likely to get a yes than for some other service dogs. But yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. Hey, Peggy. Even if it's not a service dog, I try not to distract the dog from the owner. And see, now this one is not, because I'm in a different situation, because I do have to socialize Mona from what happened to her when she was in the shelter. You never know what the situation is. If you ignore the dog and directly address the owner and just ignore the dog completely, most handlers would actually take that much, much better, because you're not interfering with the dog. You're not distracting the dog from doing their job. So that's usually the best way to handle it. Don't distract the dog before asking for permission. Story last night in the service dog walk past me getting all excited. That happens. That happens. There's not much you can do. All you can do is say, crap, I didn't know, sorry. And then just stop while they're there. That's all you can do. Yeah, and see, and that's what I did with my cat too. She only got vaccinated when I had to, just because, like I said, I've just seen so much with over vaccination. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. I just have my own personal thoughts. And I'll leave it at that. And yes, this is very true, especially as dogs age. There are certain vaccines that they stop recommending at a certain age. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And Peggy, that's the other thing. It took a long time for the word to start getting out and vets to actually start putting this into practice, because they can charge for vaccines, and they didn't want to back off of annual vaccines and go to the tri-annual vaccines, because then people wouldn't come in yearly, and they wouldn't have that yearly client anymore. They would come in tri-yearly. So yeah, it's taken a long time for that word to get out, and I'll just leave it at that. I trained the vet tech. Some of our veterinarian instructors were already starting to back off on you. Yes. Yeah. It was in the early 2000s, the very early 2000s, like I want to say 2002, 2001, when that came through and was published. But like I said, there are still some vets that still recommend some annual vaccines and still push the annual agenda. Again, I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but yeah, there are still some that still push some vaccines as annual, and will do that. So yes, even some of the most well-trained dogs will eat it. Yes, absolutely. See, and this, unfortunately, this is part of the problem too, is that there are a lot of handlers that don't bathe their dogs as often as they should, and people will complain, And then as handlers, we get a bad rap. Oh, well, there's a bunch of them that don't care for their dogs like they should, and they shed all over the place. And it can, part of having a service dog is we have to be respectful to the businesses that we are in and to the people around us, because there are people out there that are so allergic to dogs, they could wind up potentially in the hospital. And we have to be aware of that. If we expect people to allow us to have our service dogs, we have to be respectful of the people that those service dogs could potentially harm. It goes both ways. We have to be respectful of that. Oh, you've seen some of those videos I was talking about? Yeah. It just makes me, it really makes me shake my head sometimes. Some of, and yeah, it's ridiculous, honestly. Hey, Red. I could not have said it better. Yearly revenue. Exactly. Exactly. Make money off of it. When I was director of the cat rescue, we all did all our own vaccines except for, and the reason you can't do rabies, you can do all of your own vaccines except for rabies because of the licensing, because that has to be registered because of the licensing. That's the only one you can't do. So yes, that makes sense. And yeah, vets don't always take it easy on rescues either. No, they don't. Yes. Yep. They still need dentals and checkups. And like I said, because service dogs are exposed to so much more, because they're out in public and in these businesses and everything. Not only are they exposed to other illnesses and viruses and everything else, they're also exposed to more parasites. So that's something that needs to be done regularly, is a parasite check as well. So dentals and regular checkups, but also parasite checks. So absolutely, they still need to be checked yearly. Thank you. Thank you, Red. Oh, I totally get it too. I totally get it too. I work in the business of stinky dogs. I get it. Absolutely. I understand. Which is, why I feel that, I'm kind of in a really unique situation and position all the way around. Not only am I a service dog handler myself, I am a certified trainer. I am a certified groomer. So I'm in a really unique, and a business owner. So I'm in a really, really unique position to see this whole issue from all the sides. And I want to be able to help, because as a trainer, it's hard to train a dog. I also know what the average cost is to train a service dog, or basic obedience training for a new puppy. I know how expensive it can be. And not everybody has that kind of funding just lying around. I also come from a family, my ex-stepdad, former stepfather, has cerebral palsy. He was on disability. Absolutely could have used a dog, a service dog. Could he or would he ever be able to afford one formally trained? Absolutely not. Sadly. They're expensive. And it's while I understand, and while I will never, ever, ever, ever knock somebody who can afford to have one formally trained. I can't afford a formally trained service dog. I can train my own. But it's a topic that I'm just in a really unique position to be able to help. And I want to be able to help. So you didn't miss a whole lot, Peggy. But yeah, there were a couple points that you missed, but not a whole lot. He was on regular. He was born with cerebral palsy, so he had never worked or anything. So regular disability. So yeah, they don't typically cover service dogs. Yeah. Yeah. No. It could easily be like 20 grand. Yeah. It's expensive. Oh, for those that missed already, Mona, side. Here's Demona. For those that missed. Okay. Thank you. I love you. Yes. Ah. Good girl. It depends on what. It really, if you're looking for basic training, if you're looking for like a facility that raises and trains and then sends them off to you, it can range. It absolutely can range. It just depends on what exactly you're training for, if they're going to task train for you. But yeah, it really just depends exactly how much training and time they put into them. The whole 9 yards. There is a lot that goes into training. So I only have just about 15 more minutes, and then I have to go pick up the kiddos. That needs to change. I know I'm speaking. Yes, you absolutely are speaking to the choir. But again, like I said, being who I am and my position, I completely understand both sides of the coin here. I get it, and I see it. But being who I am, I'm not in it for the money. I am in it for the help. I don't do what I do for the money. I love what I do. That's, you'll never hear me say I'm great, I'm the best, you'll never hear me say that about anything I do. You'll hear me say I'm good at what I do. I'm good at what I do because I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. And I enjoy sharing the knowledge that I have because it was shared with me. And it was shared freely with me, which I am a firm believer in sharing that knowledge as well. In the same way it was shared with me freely. And that's why I'm doing this. So that's, I can't say that any better than I just did. I am sharing freely because a lot of it was shared freely with me over the years. So, thank you. That's my baby girl. She is my baby girl. So I wanted you to see her, because a couple of you guys came in a little bit later after she showed herself early on. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you appreciate it. Let's see. It depends. You'd have to look in your area. You for service dogs specific, just having the fact that it's for service dogs, it's unlikely, but possible. I'm going to try to be positive. But you would have to look in your area. And it also depends on what your specific needs would be, for what you would need for out of your dog, and what tasks you would need done. If you'd like, you can email me and we can kind of talk about it. If you need tasks similar to what I have, what I need from Mona, that's something we could definitely talk about. And maybe that's something that you could start working on now with your dog. So definitely email me and we can talk about it. Yeah. I've taken a lot of courses. I have a lot of certificates. And like I said, I have worked with a lot of very knowledgeable people over the years. And you'll never hear me say I'm the best. You'll never hear me say that I'm perfect, because I'm not. I am not. But I am good. And I am good because I really love what I do. And I've gone through a lot of schooling. That's what makes me good. So pitties are the best. So I'm going to turn the camera. They are one of my favorite breeds. Let's see if I can keep the screen, but I'm going to turn the camera here. It says, "Beware of pit bulls. They can steal your heart." One of my favorite paintings. Because I diamond paint as well. And most of my diamond paintings, as you can see, I have a whole wall back there. Because, you know, that's what happens when you don't sleep. So yes, pitties are the best. Yeah, I don't think I could survive without a dog. Yeah, best buddies. Oh, okay. Yeah, so anything that says specifically service dog, it's going to automatically just be more expensive. FYI. And that's just because they can. Sadly. A service dog requires basic obedience. And then typically from there, it would go to task specific. If it's something that you need, say, for diabetic alert, the way you would train for diabetic alert would be where you would take, if you're a low blood sugar or a high blood sugar, you would take a piece of clothing that you are wearing or a piece of cloth that you would put up against your skin when your blood sugar is out of range. So if it's low blood sugar, when your blood sugar hits low, you would take that cloth and you would rub it really vigorously against your skin when your blood sugar is low. Or if your blood sugar is high, you would take it and you would rub it vigorously against your skin to really rub in that scent. And then you would enclose it in a Ziploc bag or something airtight to really lock in that scent. And you would use that, what baby? To scent the dog and train the dog to alert on that scent. So, and that's how you would, and you would use that to train. So holding that against you when the dog alerts, like she's alerting right now because I'm a little nervous. So I know, see how she's pressing her paw into me? So she's alerting to me because I'm nervous. So when the dog alerts, then you would reward, and that's how you would do that. Okay. I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, off. Yes, I'm okay. Thank you. Good girl. So that's typically how you would task train for things like that. So it can be done by the owner. So it really just depends on what you specifically would need. Oh, Peggy. Oh, honey. I'm so sorry. I know that feeling. I'm so sorry, honey. Oh, my heart goes to you. Yeah, it is definitely one of my favorites. I had to have it here at the shop. Yes, that diamond painting is very calming. It is very relaxing. It helps me. It helps me not think too much. What's the word I'm looking for? It helps me to slow my brain down a little bit because my brain runs at 50 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. So it slows my brain down a little bit. So yes. And before I was medicated, it kept me still. So I wasn't keeping everybody awake at night. So it does help. Yes, she definitely. So right now, even though you can't see her, she's actually just right here at the corner of my desk watching me. And here she comes again. So she's never far, and she is always in a position that she can keep an eye on me. I don't know if you can hear her. So she is always in a position to be able to see me. So, oh, you got hair in your eye, baby. Okay. So she is never far from me. That is for sure. Okay, I need to get to my mouse, Goofy. Thank you. Oh. You know, those dogs that just total empaths truly help you when you need it. Yes. That's this one. Yep. That's this one right here. As you can see. Yes, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, just don't get my glasses, Goofy. I'm all right. Thank you. Okay, but I'm trying to do something. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, off. Off. I'm okay. Off. Thank you. Yeah, she's a very good girl. She's sitting right here at the corner of my desk staring at me. She's mad because I made her get down. She's giving me the look. I'm all right. I'm just a little nervous, that's all. Oh, let me check. That might be the kiddos. Let me check. No, not yet. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you got to see Mona. Mona makes everybody happy. She really does. She is most definitely a mama's girl. Now, she loves her daddy, don't get me wrong. And it's funny because my husband has this beard that's like down to here. Big old Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican. Mountain man. But he's got a beard like here. And she nuzzles her nose into his beard. It's the funniest thing ever. Funniest thing ever. All right, folks. Girls will be getting out of their group here in about 5 minutes at the library. So, any last minute questions, comments? I hope that was informative because, you know, it is some things that we as handlers should be aware of what we are signing up for as handlers. So, was glad to see you pop in because you helped me figure out my sound issue that first thing. That was nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. It's fun having you guys here. Oh, I'm glad you were here, Cricket. I try to be informative. I really do. But it's also a topic that I'm quite passionate about as well. So I got dark hair on my nose. Imagine that. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Oh, you are very welcome, Peggy. You are very welcome. All right. Until next time, I will see you guys later. I'm going to go pick up my kiddos. Hey, Russ, you're going to have to watch the replay. I got to go get my kiddos from the library and go pick up supper. You just missed me. Yes, I'm going to text it. That's all right. Next time. Next time for sure. Yeah, I got to go get my babies, my two-legged babies. Yeah, we were just talking about our responsibilities as service dog owners and what we as handlers need to do. You too, my friend, you too. All right. I will see all of you guys later. Until the next time, have a wonderful, wonderful, and peaceful day.